Hi everybody, this is John Levison for Try 24/7 and I'm extremely pleased to be joined by Chrissie Wellington once again, so welcome Chrissie.
Thank you.
We're in central London, Universal Studios. We've got a recording studio behind us. It's the final of X Factor tomorrow. Are you making a late entry or is there some
I'm
other...
recording my Christmas number one, John.
The Chrissie number one?
Yeah,
okay, so
Chrissie Christmas number one.
So look forward to that, but real reason you're here is not really for singing, is it?
It's not, you know, my talents do not lie in singing. No, I'm here recording a new training product with a company called Audio Fuel, and it's a motivational training tool that will hopefully enable people to train harder, and it will also enable them, motivate them to train and also encourage them to relax and recover.
Yeah. And when can we expect to see that coming out into the market? Is that sometime next year?
Early in the new year.
Yeah.
It should be launched early in the new year. But it's a really exciting product. I'm just so excited to be involved with Audio Fuel, with Universal, and hopefully this product will help people reach their potential. Yeah. And that's what I'm all about.
Yeah. Well, you certainly keep doing that, keep raising the bar, and obviously we can't speak to you. It's been the best part of 7 or 8 weeks now, but Chrissie and Kona 2011 will always be etched in everybody's memories who's watched that and is familiar with the sport. First thing to ask is how you actually recovered in terms of recovery from the race, but also from those injuries and stuff.
The war wounds actually etched into my body still. No, I was really conscious after Kona this year of the need to recover. You know, rest and recovery after any race is really important, but because of the demands that this race placed on my body and the toll that it took, it was so important for me to take a really good chunk of time to recover. So the past couple of months I've actually really reduced the volume of training, and I'm only just starting to train properly again now.
Yeah. How do you think, having gone through that race and the nature of how that race happened, do you think that's actually changed you as a person or an athlete? Because you've always been somebody that wants to raise the bar, set new limits, but did that sort of even break through the ceiling, if you like, of what you even thought you could do and change your perspective on your sport, or maybe even on life?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of our sport. I think we're constantly learning about ourselves, and I just am constantly realising that my limits are not where I think they are, and I really proved that to myself again at Kona this year. I didn't line up even expecting to be able to challenge for the victory, and to be able to overcome such adversity has really empowered me as a person, and hopefully has inspired and encouraged others, and they can take the lessons from my story. But I think it's also shown that I'm human, and I suffer and I bleed, and I will give absolutely everything to the sport that I love, and it's the victory that I am the most proud of, because I dug to the depths of my soul and crossed the finish line totally and utterly spent, and whilst it was really uncomfortable, incredibly painful, it's so satisfying to be able to do that, and to overcome adversity and to achieve more than you ever think you can.
We're very familiar with seeing you win races, set new limits, records and all of that type of stuff. But do you think that the way in which you won, the pain, the almost bringing you back to that, she is real, she does bleed and all that other stuff, is that reflected in people's reaction to this one? Because it really seems that inside the sport and outside there really has been, that was an epic event, as indeed it was for the men's race with Craig and his record. It was just a fantastic World Championship. It
was a phenomenal race to be a part of. I've always said that I want to be in a race. I'm a fierce competitor and I want to race the other girls, and we all got our wish this year at Kona. But definitely from the responses that I've received, email, Twitter, personal messages, people have been inspired, and I think it's difficult for people to identify with an athlete that goes 8:18.
Yeah.
it's easier for them to identify with an athlete that's suffering, that's maybe coming from behind, that's maybe having to fight and really dig deep, and you can see the pain on their face. And I think that amateur athletes and other professionals can really identify with that, and I think that's what's more inspirational rather than my record breaking performances. I think the performance at Kona will hopefully be the one that really does encourage and inspire people the most.
You said that you were, before the race, you had doubts that you could even contend, could win. If we go back a year, you were unable to start the race because of the illness and how bad you were feeling. Did the fact that you missed that year put more pressure on you to feel that you had to start this year? And if, for example, you had no problems last year and you'd won, do you think that maybe you wouldn't have actually given yourself the chance to do what you did this year?
I probably shouldn't have been on that start line 2 months ago at Kona. I did put my body and my mind through the ringer that day, and had I started in 2010, had I won in 2010, would I have raced this year? Probably not. But I think that, well, I know that 2010 just gave me this huge fire in my belly to regain the crown. I realised once more just how much it meant to me to be world champion. It's so much more for me than a race. And after I didn't race in 2010, one of my biggest concerns, fears, was that I would lose my platform and I would lose my voice because I wasn't the reigning world champion. And I wanted to regain that title, to regain that platform. And that's what I think about each and every day when I train, and that's why I was on that start line and willing to put myself through that pain in order to be able to try and regain that crown.
And how important was your coach Dave Scott? Obviously you've now won it 4 times, still 2 behind him. The man, literally, as his nickname is. And your race report on your blog, which is a fantastic read, one of the things that we always recognise about you is, yes, you'll be smiling on the run, and the words going through your head from Dave was, I know you want something like, I know you're going to want to be smiling, Chrissie, but you're going to have to work for it this time, so please just put all your energy into running. Was those voices and those things going through your head all the time from that advice, and was that a real key part in actually enabling you to finally get that win at the end?
We compete as individuals, but where we don't get to the start line and we don't race alone, and that result is a credit to so many important members of my team, not least, as you mentioned, Dave Scott. I mean, Dave's been an integral part of my team for the past 2 and a bit years, and prior to that, obviously, Brett Sutton really, brought me to the fore and enabled me to achieve more than I ever thought I could. But definitely, Dave's input this year really helped me, both before the race and during the race itself. He gave me the advice that I needed to be able to conserve as much energy as I could, to stay in the moment, to stay focused, not to panic, to keep my head, all of those things. And actually having him and of course my family on the sidelines also was incredibly important. But definitely Dave's help and input and advice before the race and during the race really did help. But going back to what we were talking about before, I think that the result at Kona really shows that our sport is as much about mental strength as physical strength, because I don't think that race was won on physical prowess. It was a lot to do with mental strength and self-confidence and overriding pain and discomfort, and Dave has helped not only with my physical training but also with my mental training too.
On that mental side, if we look at the sport a little bit wider and some of the other great female athletes that we've got, and indeed some of the men athletes, this year we had, I think it was 15 instances of going under 9 hours for iron distance, which is just, we've never got anywhere near that before. Personally, I feel part of that is down to you, as well as adding 3 of them yourself, but pushing through that barrier so that people like Leander Cave and Julia Wagner and so many others are just, it's like, forget, that's not a barrier anymore, that's the norm, and they've just all piled in. Is that must be a very positive thing for you to think that at least a part of that you've helped?
I really hope that through my performances and the manner in which I race, I can inspire all those around me. I came into the sport and I didn't have any preconceived ideas about what was possible.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know that women were expected to ride 5 hours and run 3 hours. So I came in and I thought the world was my oyster. And then proceeded to post faster times than probably could have been imagined. But it's not only down to me, and people forget that I'm also inspired by all the athletes that surround me. Would I have run a 2:52 without Marinda?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that Rinny could run a 2:53. She did the year before. I was confident that she could run faster, so I knew what I had to do.
Yeah. I can tell you from watching the screen at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting in bed with the laptop, she looked like she was running really, really fast.
I mean, and she always looks like she's. I sometimes look quite awkward when I'm running, and she looks fluid, she looks strong, focused and confident, and I know what she can do. I know how talented Julie Dibbons is at swim bike, other athletes, and they're helping to drive me and raise my own level of an incredibly exciting time for female endurance sports, and particularly iron distance racing in Great Britain. We're seeing, yes, myself, but Rachel Joyce and Leander Cave, Kat Morrison, all really taking the world by storm in this sport. And then at the half Ironman as well, it's really great to see, and I hope that we're inspiring each other and encouraging each other to raise the bar.
Yeah, and I think that's also given maybe a little kick up the backside to some of the men as well, because they've also, to be fair to them, they've really raised the bar. This year we've had the world records of Raylert and Van Hoenacker, and then Kona record, and more sub-8s than we've ever seen as well. So
definitely.
I think it's definitely that endurance, iron distance, and also half iron as well with Melissa Rollison is
she's wonderful,
absolutely flying, and the whole standard of the sport just feels it's just.
But that's the beauty of sport, and as one man or woman breaks through and posts a faster time, so others have to rise up and meet that, and it excites me, and the opportunities are endless, and that's part of the beauty of sport, and our sport in particular.
Yeah. So I believe you've taken a nice little holiday recently. Are you feeling relaxed now and ready to start sort of training for 2012 and beyond, and sort of getting back to the racing Chrissie again?
Yeah, I mean, Tom Lowe and Tom, my boyfriend, we had a great holiday in Hawaii, actually. Going back to Hawaii, and we're really
was it a little less painful this time?
Little less painful, few more Mai Tais. But no, it was great. He had a fantastic year, a great race in Kona, finishing 11th, and we really wanted to take time to celebrate it, and then see something of Hawaii that we hadn't seen.
Not from your tri-bars.
Not from the tri-bars, no, and eating more than energy gels and drink. But no, we had a great holiday, and it's so important to have a proper off season. And now, we're looking forward and getting back into it. Next year is going to be really different, quite exciting. I've got my autobiography coming out in February, which I'm really, really happy about. It's been an interesting, exciting,
was that quite
satisfying
a long
process
and difficult, a harder process than you thought, or
not not difficult, but it's been very time consuming. But it's been a really, really interesting, quite enlightening and empowering process, and I've really enjoyed it. And I hope others enjoy the fruits of my labour too. And
does that conclude with Kona 2011? Is that part of the book?
It does.
Excellent.
Yeah. It offered a good finale to the book, but I do remember thinking that when I was racing, actually, that I had to make sure I got a good result, otherwise the final chapter wouldn't have been as exciting as it perhaps was.
One of the other things you've got coming up in a couple of weeks, I think it's up in Leeds, you're doing a charity run with the Jane Tomlinson Appeal, so just tell us a little bit more about that, what you're doing and how people can join in.
Yeah, I wanted to do some group runs for a long time, and I've wanted to do those in aid of a charity that I feel very passionately about, and as many people know, I'm a patron of the Jane Tomlinson Appeal. And so I worked with Mike Tomlinson and his team to organise a run, and it's a 5k charity run in Leeds, followed by a training session, followed by the all-important...
Not at your race pace, right?
Not at race pace. Okay. And followed by the all-important buffet, and then I'll give a talk and then open it up to a Q&A. So it's going to be a whole afternoon and an evening, and I'm really, really excited about it. It's an opportunity for me to meet some of the British triathlon public, raise some money for a good cause, and hopefully encourage and inspire a range of different athletes across Great Britain. But this probably won't be the last of the run with Chrissie's that we're going to organise, so I'd like to have a few around the country, and we'll look to do some around the UK next year too.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's the Wednesday the 21st?
Wednesday the 21st up in Leeds.
And I think it is runwithchrissie.com, isn't it?
Yeah, runwithchrissie.com.
So runwithchrissie.com, Wednesday the 21st. As always, Chrissie, absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thanks again for your time, and all the best. And if you can just repeat that, give us all the same excitement, maybe with a little less pain and bike crashes and all that other stuff.
I'll
2012
try.
we'll be very, very happy.
But thanks so much for all your support this year, and here's to an awesome 2012.
Yeah, well, I think for all of us in all sports, I think 2012 is going to be fairly special. So
yeah, it is.
Thanks a lot. Cheers Chrissie.